What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode, another review of Fire Force. This is going to be episode 10, and we got a lot of world building, and we've got a lot of new stories, so let's get started. So I said a little while back that as long as this series doesn't continue world building well past the point that it should be okay. And this episode, I thought, because they started it out with a new environment, a new area that we hadn't seen before, that they might be pushing it a little bit with the whole world building and kind of going way overboard with throwing all this information at the viewer. But this actually worked out really well because it ended up being an entire sort of learning experience for the viewer, starting out with, well, getting to see the Imperial throne room. Now, the throne room is actually in the perpetual thermal energy plant, the Amaterasu. Let me see if I got that right. Yes, Amaterasu, which is sort of where the power for the entire empire comes from. It's a perpetual energy machine, which somehow works, but it's run via an Adola burst, which we learn even more about later down the road. Because, of course, apart from Hibana telling Shinra, or knowing, rather, that Shinra has an Adola burst, Shinra is actually told that when he goes to fight against Rekka, and now we get to learn a little bit more about what it is. But I'm getting ahead of myself, as always. Why are they actually going to the Amaterasu? Well, at the start of all of this, they called for all the fire company captains to meet at the Amaterasu and talk with the Emperor. And this is where we actually get to meet all of the different fire captains for all eight companies. I need to put my words together a little better. And of course, even before all that, we get to see how lively the fire companies become, with Hibana putting a bunch of crap all over Obi's locker, bringing Shinra lunch. Of course, we have Tamaki being Tamaki, and I can see why a lot of people like her, because she's a very fan-servicey character. And of course, we have Hibana and Iris and Maki all playing with fire and, completely ignoring it. And it's just really cool to see how more alive the fire companies become with each of these characters who have been showing up. And also how much Hibana's kind of got a thing for Shinra. Oh, and Arthur's back. He was lost, but that really actually didn't become anything. He just kind of showed up again. Okay. Anyway, they get to the Amaterasu, and we are introduced to, or reintroduced to a few, and introduced for the first time to a few fire company captains. Of course, we have fire company 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So apparently there's only 8 fire companies, but we get introduced to each one. Of course, we already know Burns. We're introduced to Gustav Honda and Dr. Giovanni, who has like a plague mask on, and we actually see him talking with Hibana before they go in, which he talked about how they have an allegiance to Hajime. So I'm curious if both of their companies are in some way tied to Hajime Industries. Obviously, we have Hibana's Hajime Industries ties. I want to know more about Giovanni now. These two I'm going to have to cheat on, but we have Fire Company 6's Kyoko Huang, and we have Fire Company 7's, where is his name? Benimaru Shinmon, who we actually learn a little bit more about Fire Company 7 as well, or at least their demeanor, and specifically the fire captain's demeanor, which is very non-caring, which is kind of essentially we learned that Shinmon is actually supposedly the most powerful fire soldier in the entire force, I guess, and he's got that like very powerful and cocky attitude of just like, I'm the best, who cares, that kind of thing. So, and we see that pretty well portrayed throughout the interaction between him and the Emperor and everybody else involved. And of course, Fire Company 8's Captain Obi. We are very well familiar with him. And then we're introduced to Raffles III, which I think is kind of a funny name, but he's the Emperor, and we learn that there are many things that need to be investigated, obviously. There's a whole lot, which I'm surprised we didn't see more stress or neglect, or not neglect, but regret and guilt from Leonard Burns from Company 1, considering that his fire company was the one that spawned this maniac who was part of this, basically cult that wants to burn down the entire world, set fire to all the humans, and return to being a sun. Even though the Earth was not really a sun, it was not quite that, but whatever, that's not important. Anyway, the cocky attitude that we see from Shinmon is demonstrated perfectly in the face of the Emperor. He's just like, I don't want to hear about your religious and crap, I'm going to leave. And he just left, like straight up just left. So we now know his demeanor and mentality and how he feels about the religion. He's just there basically to fight fires, and I don't even know if he does that, but apparently he did, or still does, because he's considered the most powerful soldier. I guess we'll see more of him later. Of course, they brought Shinra and Tamaki along because they wanted them to discuss more about what they learned with everything involving the events with Rekka, how they managed it. In fact, Flom is there too, and he expresses his want to work with Fire Company 8 on coming to take down the Evangelists. So that's something. They have another ally, I guess. And we learn, of course, that they want to continue going after the Evangelists. They want to try to get this entire cult forming to be ruined. They want to disintegrate it. They want to destroy it. They want to go after it, take it out, whatever it takes. And there was a point where there was somewhat of a concern because we now know that Shinra has an Edola Burst. The Edola Burst we learned about is actually what runs the facility, runs the Amaterasu. It is essentially a flame gifted by the great god's soul, or is it given to the descendants of the great god's soul? I don't know exactly how it works because it's been described both ways now. And it's very hard to distinguish, as Dr. Giovanni was saying, which I love that plague mask. That design is so cool. Anyway, he was saying how science has yet to discern what the true difference between a regular flame and an Edola Burst is, but it's a pure flame, whatever that means. We also have Joker listening in, and we learn that he's an Apple user because he's very clearly got an AirPod in his ear listening, which is kind of funny. Yeah, anyway, I just thought that was funny. But he's listening in, and we get more from him later. But anyway, with them speaking about the Edola Burst that Shinra possesses, specifically Dr. Giovanni wants to kind of contain him. He, as we learned from Hibana, wants to kind of study Shinra and kind of treat him as a test subject, which obviously he's opposed to. And Obi swears that he will protect Shinra no matter the cost, which is cool. It shows the bond that they have, and we get more of that bond down the road. We learn more about Fire Company 8 and how Shinra feels about it and all that kind of stuff, which is a really nice moment, but I'm not getting to that yet. We're going to stick with currently what's going on. Of course, Raffles III, which is just such a funny name, but he expresses how Shinra has a gift from the great god's soul, and he should treat it as such to, blah, 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 all the religious stuff. But it's kind of cool, and we now have Shinra, of course, not being detained or captured, or not captured, but not caged up and kept away from the fight. He wants to actually be an active member of the Fire Force, which, of course, Company 8 allows him to be. He's not going to be one of Dr. Giovanni's test subjects. It's writing. Oh yeah, and for some reason, throughout the episode, we have 119 hung up back in the back of the fire company, up on the roof. Then we have just Juan, and then we also have them eating later down the road. I don't know why they're still there. I don't know why they're there to begin with. But yeah, that was kind of an odd thing that was just sort of weird. But yeah, whatever. After that, we have Obi and Tamaki coming back to Fire Company 8. Shinra stays at the Amaterasu. He wanted to kind of look around and stay in the city for a little while, and then we get our interaction with Joker. And I gotta say, the artist for this series, obviously we learned this with Soul Eater, but he has such a way of drawing characters and such a way of designing these characters with the smile, and he's finally learned to draw noses, which is nice. It was kind of the weirdest part of Soul Eater. But with the interaction with Joker, of course, he's got this very weird demeanor about him that I just love. He's not there to fight. He figures that Shinra's earned himself another clue, and he's turning, as he said, suspicion into certainty, I think was the words, or something like that. He's solidifying one of Shinra's guesses, one of his opinions, one of his thoughts, and telling him that his brother is alive, and he is actually one of the captains, I believe, or one of the leaders in the Evangelist's army. That's something. But of course he tells him this in a very Joker-ish way. We've got this distorted wide-angle lens and all that. It's just, I love that kind of style in this show, and especially when it's applied to Joker, because he's just got this very just awesome demeanor about him that I don't know, I like it. I like his character a lot. And of course we get some flashbacks to the fire at Shinra's house and how that was probably where the Evangelists stole, well, would have now certainly been where the Evangelists stole Shinra's brother. And apparently that's where what they've been doing. They've been taking and stealing children from fires who are compatible with the pilot light. So, yeah, that means that Shinra's brother is now a captain, and potentially, I don't know if he's a fire soldier. He may be a fire soldier because he obviously was compatible, so he, just like Takun, the one kid we met in the last episode, he didn't catch on fire. And we actually see quite a reveal at the end, so we're going to get to that in a minute. Now, because of all of the uncertainties and because of the conflicts and confusion and everything that's been going on now with the artificial infernals showing up, and knowing now that artificial infernals are actually a thing, we have all of Company 8 going through all of their previous reports on fires to find anything abnormal and calling it out to try to get this investigation more underway. And of course, Shinra's enjoying every minute of it because it's like watching Arthur die. He's like enjoying watching Arthur just miserable trying to do that, and it's just kind of funny. And we see, as things continue, Shinra is obviously upset because of what the Joker told him. I keep saying the Joker, it's Joker. But he's obviously very clearly upset about what Joker told him, and everybody else notices. Tamaki notices, Maki notices, even Hinoa and Obi to a degree. But Hinoa notices, and this is actually played out very, very nice. Like, I'm always a sucker for fans of shows that have, like, family at its core. Just take a look at Fairy Tail, obviously. I'm a big sucker for those kind of shows. And this does it very well, and it does it very early on, which is good because when you establish it late, you get this very detached feeling of just sort of like, oh, now they're family, it's great. It does it early enough and it does it well enough that it actually feels cohesive. It feels like it should actually be there. Now, what leads to the moment that's actually really nice between Hinoa and Shinra is preceded by a Maki and Tamaki moment, which is fan service. There's no way getting around it. They're going to go cook, and somehow Tamaki manages to have all of her clothes off with an apron over top, whatever. I still think Maki's best girl. Tamaki's just fan service girl at this point. But whatever. But that leads into a moment where Hinoa goes to cook, which obviously, as we've seen in previous episodes, he's a very good cook. And he has Shinra come with him. And he expresses, are you okay? If you don't trust me, you can tell the captain, but if it's something you need to say, you need to tell the captain. And Shinra expresses that he trusts everybody. And that's played on really well at the end of this episode. Now, the moment that we see that Obi cares is when Obi comes into the kitchen after everything's been cooked, and he asks Hinoa if, Shinra is going to be okay with everything going on. And Hinoa just kind of affirms to him, like, you haven't recruited any pushovers yet. So he obviously trusts Shinra. They believe in him. They know that he's going to be strong. They know that he's going to be good. But there's still that question of, does Shinra, like, he says he trusts them, but what does that mean? So after they go and eat, and we of course have everybody expressing that they were worried about Shinra and seeing, that they are glad that he's looking better. They're glad that he's doing better. Even Arthur expressed that he cares about Shinra to a degree. After those moments, Shinra shares the information he was given by Joker, and he gives that to them to kind of help them get a lead, but also to kind of get that information off his chest and share it so that they can share the load with him, share his burden. And they believe him. Obi asks if he wants to believe that his brother's still alive. Shinra says yes, and they say, well, then we'll have to start our investigation from the perspective, from the start, from the idea that Shinra's brother is alive. And it just goes to show how well they established family in this series. They established it so well in one episode. Like, that's really good. And the fact that we're still getting world building, but it doesn't feel overwhelming, that's also very good. And then we have our end, not even an end button, we just have our end scene. The end scene for this episode has so many big implications. Mostly the fact that we now have a full-on reveal that Shinra's brother is still alive. Because we have the we have the army that, of course, is, this cult, and they're talking about how they want to, everything needs to go back to the being a son and whatever. And we then have Shinra's brother, Sho, sitting at the end of the line of all these white robes with a sword and a smile on his face. That means that his brother's still alive. He's working for the evangelist. And we don't know how powerful he is. We don't know anything about him other than the fact that now he's alive and he's working for the evangelist as a leader, as a captain, I believe is what the term was. Holy crap. So, man, oh man, we got a lot that is coming up. And thank you for everybody who corrected me a couple episodes back that this is 24 episodes. We got a lot to cover in 24 episodes. Holy crap. We're coming up on episode 11 and then, of course, 12. So that'll be halfway through the season. I'm so excited to see where this is going to go from here because, man, this has so many high stakes and I can't wait. I hope you guys are enjoying these reviews. I really hope you guys are enjoying my breakdowns of these videos. These episodes are getting better and better. I'm enjoying every minute of getting to see where the story goes and kind of digging a little deeper into it and getting to see what the stakes are, what the changes might be, what things might come up later. I love all of it. So hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you think I missed anything or if there's anything you all noticed that maybe I missed, which is basically saying the same thing twice. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Check out the links in the description. Like, subscribe, comment with anything, honestly, anything as long as it's not spoilers. And apart from that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one.